A few years ago, a doctor from the south of France contacted me. His grandson was sick, and none of the doctors there could figure out what the illness was. After reading some articles I had written on autonomic nervous system disorders, he decided to find me and talk to me. The symptoms of his grandson's illness matched those I had studied. He asked me if I could help him. I agreed immediately, and for months I communicated by phone and fax with the boy's French doctors, directing various tests. Finally, I made a diagnosis and suggested a course of therapy. Within the following few weeks, the boy began to show signs of recovery, almost miraculously. His grandfather thanked me from the bottom of his heart and asked me to let him know if I ever came to France. In the summer of 1996, I was invited to speak at an international scientific conference in Nice, France. I sent word to the doctor I had helped years earlier. When I arrived at my hotel, there was a message telling me to contact him. I called him, and we decided to meet for dinner at my hotel that evening. On the day of the meeting, he took me to his beautiful home in the south of France. I felt a slight pang when I learned that his house was even older than the United States of America. In the car, he mentioned that his wife had breast cancer and was not doing well, but she had insisted on meeting me. When I met her, I saw that despite her terrible illness, she was still a very beautiful woman. That night, I had one of the most wonderful dinners of my life. The wines we drank were also superb. After dinner, we sat in the 17th century living room, drinking cognac and talking. Our conversation must have seemed strange to the servants in the house because we used a mixture of English, French, and Spanish. After a while, the woman asked, "My husband told me you are Jewish, is that true?" I answered, "Yes, I am Jewish." They asked me to talk a little about Judaism, specifically about the holidays. I did my best to explain it as well as I could, and I was very surprised to see how little they knew about Judaism. The woman was particularly interested in Hanukkah. When I finished answering her questions, she suddenly looked into my eyes and said, "I have something I want to give you." She disappeared and returned a few minutes later with a package wrapped in cloth. She sat down, her tired eyes looking into mine, and began to speak slowly. I was a little girl, 8 years old, during the Second World War when soldiers came to our village to round up all the Jews. My best friend at the time was a girl my age named Janet. One morning, when I went to her house to play, I saw her family being forced at gunpoint into a truck. I ran home and told my mother what had happened and asked where Janet was being taken. "Don't worry," she said. "Janet will be back soon." When I went back to Janet's house, I saw that the family was gone and other people from the village were looting the house, throwing the Judaic items into the street instead of taking them. As I got closer, I noticed something had been thrown into the dirt. When I picked it up, I saw it was a candelabra that Janet and her family would light at Christmas time. In my young mind, I thought, I will take this home and keep it until Janet returns. But she and her family never came back. She paused and took a sip of her drink. "I've kept this ever since. I didn't even show my family, and I never told anyone about its existence. In fact, the only person who has known about it in the last 50 years is my husband. When I learned what really happened to the Jews and that many people I knew had collaborated with the Nazis, I couldn't bring myself to look at it again. But I still kept it, waiting for something, though I didn't quite know what. Now I understand what I was waiting for. What I was waiting for was you, the one who healed my grandson. I was waiting for a Jew, and now I want to entrust this to you." With trembling hands, she placed the package in my lap. I slowly unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a menorah of a type I had never seen before. It was made of brass and had 8 candle holders. A 9th holder stood above the rest. It had a small hook on it. The woman mentioned she remembered Janet's family hanging it on the wall. It really looked very old. Later, some people told me the menorah was at least 100 years old. As I held the menorah in my hands and thought about what it represented, I began to cry. All I could manage was a trembling, "Thank you." As I was leaving, the last words said to me were, "Il faudra voir la lumière encore une fois." It must see the light once more. I later learned that the woman passed away less than a month after our meeting. This Hanukkah, the menorah will see the light once again. My family and I will say a special prayer in honor of the memories it carries when we light it, and we will never let the menorah be deprived of its light again.